Okay, so welcome. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us, whether you're watching us live or on the recording. Today marks the start of my third year trading, 18th of May 2018 I joined. And so I'm doing a series of interviews this week. And I wanted to start by interviewing a brand new trader, Helen Moore, who I know has worked a little bit in crypto before, but apart from that, doesn't know anything about Forex. So Helen, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your life, who you are and what you're up to.
By trade, I'm a PR and marketing consultant, which I've done for many, many years. And I moved to France almost exactly 13 years ago, because so much of my work is online. So it really doesn't matter where I live, as long as I've got a half decent internet connection. So that works quite well. I live in a little village, which is about 40 minutes north of Limoges in central France. And I live on a sort of like a little small holding. I've got 3 children, 4 dogs, currently catless, but that no doubt will be remedied. Miscellaneous animals outside, pony, donkey, blah. So, you know, lots of people say, oh, you're living the dream. And I suppose I am really, because I'm able to work from home. My PR clients are dotted all over the world. I typically deal with a lot of Americans, but also people in other parts of Europe and the UK and Australia and whatever. So that's me. Yes, Forex didn't really sort of enter my consciousness. Many moons ago, when I still lived in the UK, I used to drink with a couple of guys in the local pub who were Forex traders, and they were always catching the really early train to get into the city, because they used to catch the end of the Asian markets. But that's about it, really. So, can't say that say Forex was a big part of my life. However, I have always been quite interested in financial things and macroeconomics, I suppose, is a general, big trends going, excuse me, going on in the world. And in fact, all this kind of happened at the same time. I think I actually met you, Sarah, sometime last year, having met you on Facebook I think in a house renovating group. For those that don't know, Sarah lives in this fabulous medieval house. She's about an hour away from me. She's just south of Limoges, and my son goes to school quite near her, so we sort of arranged to meet up one day. So, but after the Brexit thing, which for us Brits living in Europe was a massive issue, where around the time of the election, I think in December, I decided, well, it was a lost cause. I'm not going to put any more energy really into thinking about Brexit. So I actually turned my attention to financial things, because I just thought as current events, it was quite interesting. And I was horrified to learn just how much bad news there was out there about the economy in general. Before there was any hint of a pandemic and COVID and all that, it was widely predicted in mainstream press that there would be a crash in 2020. And there was one thing that I was particularly interested in, was the pensions crisis. and which is still there, of course. In fact, it will be considerably worse now with the events of COVID. So all these sort of things came together with me finding out more about that, and on the work front, on my PR work, I was getting a little bit tired of being so out of control of everything. So I was always waiting for people, clients, and not even the client I was dealing with, someone removed from the client to give the go-ahead to work. All the media outlets are under increasing pressure, so they're all run on half a shoestring these days, and so trying to get through to journalists is just harder and harder. And so Sarah was saying, so Forex, it's a good idea, Helen. And so I really started looking at it seriously. And what appealed to me was that it is something ultimately that I can control. You know, I can learn how to do it, I can learn how to trade, and I can do it when I choose to do it, and hopefully I'll become good at it. Obviously I'm very much a novice at this point, but that's what appealed to me, is that it was in my gift to do it. So I can learn it, I can trade when I want, and I feel that I've got a lot more control about it than I do about my mainstream job, which I still do and I still really like. But I do envisage that Forex will not only become a sort of significant side hustle, that it may actually become more of what I do, because it's just so flexible. And I no doubt I'll still do lovely projects. I've got a great network of people that I work with, and if a nice project comes up, as you know, there's a few on the table at the moment, but obviously COVID is wreaking havoc through schedules. But I'm sure I'll still do it. But I do love the flexibility of trading.
Yes, I think that you're in a fortunate position in that you have a long established network, which you've worked very hard for, and you can work online. I think for many people out there, there is this problem that everything is moving online. I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk. For those of you who don't know him, he's a social media marketing expert in the States, a Russian immigrant child, came to America with absolutely nothing. He's 41 and now a multi-million-dollar owner, you know, just embodies, you know, pure work ethic. And he just tells people to get their finger out and get on with it, whatever age you are, because the world is changing. And I was watching something of his this morning from November last year, where he said things like 7-Eleven, these supermarkets in the States, are just not going to exist any longer. You can get, he said, look at China, you can get overnight delivery, you can get instant delivery of everything. So for people out there who then had a double whammy because of COVID, that, you know, with all the jobs disappearing, and then saying they haven't got any money either. I mean, it's like this terrible storm of things happening in 2020 that is only going to accelerate. So what would you say to people who perhaps aren't as fortunate as yourself and are caught up in this maelstrom of a very fast changing online world, together with the impact of the economy globally?
Well, I think it depends where you live and what age you are and what your financial obligations are. But I really do feel that this is a massive change in so many things. And people that think that, you know, once we get those pesky kids back to school, it's all going to go back to normal. I really don't think that's going to be the case. And I think a lot of people should and will need to reinvent themselves personally and professionally. because either their specific job won't exist anymore or their whole industry. I mean, I foresee that the whole media industry will change dramatically. I mean, most media outlets were hanging by a thread before all this happened, because people are used to reading stuff online for free. So if you don't pay for it, you just end up with a load of sort of clickbait rubbish. So, you know, things are really changing dramatically. And I do think that Forex is something that anyone can do. I mean, I've got no particular financial expertise, and in fact it's absolutely number one, my most hated thing is doing accounts. Sort of anything to do with numbers. I'm much more of a words person, but as you said to me, Sarah, it's not anything to do with that really. It's spotting trends and patterns and all that kind of thing. It's actually a very visual thing. And the other element of it, which I find absolutely fascinating, and I'm only just sort of getting into it, and I'm tuning into Paul's NLP sessions on Fridays, is that, you know, the psychological aspect of it, and how whatever sort of character issues or personal issues or sort of fears or whatever do show up in your trading, and that actually it is you do need to work on yourself to be a successful trader. And the other thing that's actually quite interesting, and I did look into it a little bit, is that traditionally, you know, when the big banks do the Forex trading, it is predominantly a male thing. And obviously you get some brilliant male traders, but there are some very good women traders now in that mainstream space. But generally, in sort of fairly recent research, it would suggest that the sort of female approach to it is actually more successful. As it's been drummed into me since I joined IM and the Ninjas, that slow and steady wins the race. You know, you mustn't overtrade. You know, get your 10 pips and off you go. Don't be tempted to keep going back for more. Don't be greedy. Just, you know, do your 10 pips and let the compounding do its magic. So that sort of female maybe being more risk averse than the men, maybe not quite as brave. I don't know, lots of generalizations here, but research would suggest that actually women are pretty good at it. They might not make the sort of massive things, but they don't lose the massive things either. You know, they're kind of trucking along and they're happier to accept that. Say it's a psychology thing, isn't it?
Yes, I don't know so much about that. I know that women generally apparently are more successful at network marketing, which is the other side of the business, because it's a private online university and you have to be sponsored to come in. They don't do print and TV advertising, the people where we get the software and tools from. So like network marketing, working at home, you know, women generally have been at home doing that. But if you look at our Go Live TV, you know, some of the very top educators like Kathy Kirkland, you know, they are super multi-million-dollar successful people at Forex now. And they'd never known about it before. You know, it's quite interesting. But I think for both male and female, there are rules that we follow and stick to, which is very sensible account risk management. So never risk more than 3% of your account, and that's what keeps you safe. But you know, and as you say, patient and consistent and not over trading, because once you've been through the grind of actually the fob clearing and getting the process. And I always come back to learning how to bake a cake or learning how to drive a car. It's as simple as that. Once you've been through the process and passed your test, you know, been through some of the academy, done the little tests and things, then it's simply a matter of, right, I'm coming on for an hour a day, I'm going to get my money and I'm gone, and I'm shutting the computer.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that
over trading is to be discouraged
yeah,
at all times.
yeah, that element is hugely appealing, you know, because I've got a pretty action-packed life. Not with big exciting things, but with this sort of deluge of domesticity. Obviously we're still under sort of lockdown here in France. It's loosened a little bit, but all the children are at home, so I'm doing epic amounts of cooking and baking and the ever-present laundry, and you know, the animals, and plus other work projects, and you know, blah blah blah. You know, you know, I get up early-ish and go to bed late-ish, and I just don't know, you know, where the day goes. And you know, I just have a lot to do. I never sit down in the evening, watch TV or anything like that. I just sort of get up and go. So to have something which has a start and a stop point is massively appealing to me, because that's something that doesn't happen in PR. There's always something else you can do. Well, I suppose you could do that with Forex. There's always new stuff to learn and new things to watch. But the other thing that I have really enjoyed about this journey, albeit I'm right at the beginning of it, is you've got the sort of overall umbrella of IM Academy and their lovely glossy videos and the fabby software. But at the sort of lower level, the sort of community level, we've got our ninja group, and I honestly don't know how people actually do it without that level of support.
I agree with you. It's fabulous.
It's there's such a lot to learn, and I don't actually know how people sort of wade through the treacle at the beginning to actually get to the point of trading without that hand holding part that you get from the group. Because I've been joining in live trading. I watch Paul, and I'm also join Sarah Jane in the afternoons for BYOB, and I've also listened into Kevin, and you know, I've been sort of
got a fair view of the different things going on.
So but if I was left to my own devices, not sure that I do it. And you know, you do hear about people that sort of say, oh well, I've tried Forex and you know, couldn't make it work and everything, and I'm not surprised because it's, I just don't know how you would do it without a vast amount of discipline and application and you know, going back to the learning to cook analogy, it's a lot easier to learn to cook when you've got someone showing you how to do it. You say, this has happened with what's gone wrong, and someone can say, oh right, it's gone wrong because and I do feel that, you know, you've kind of got our trading family around us, and it is absolutely supportive. There doesn't seem to be any, you know, everyone's doing their thing and they've got those sort of the different strategies, and
we've got a routine.
But the overarching vibe is that it's very supportive, and everyone wants everyone else to be successful in whatever they're trying to achieve, whether it's, you know, a little side hustle or for it to become a full-time job.
Well, I always remember one of my mentors 2 years ago, and he always drummed into us, show me your trading account and I'll show you your life. So in other words, you know, it's quite amazing how it reflects back to you, that aspect of the psychology. And 2 years ago, we had some of it, but we didn't have it as refined as we have it now in our community, our ninja community. And some people have been in longer than me, the company's been going 7 years that provides the tools we use. But it was like being in a washing machine, really, and you had to be very dedicated to say to yourself, I am going to do this. And I was looking for something and have been for quite some time, but never been successful in any network marketing thing I'd tried. Over the 10 years I'd invested in it and gone to America on masterminds and spent thousands on products and trying different things, and it just made me feel more and more of a loser, really. And when someone said to me, but the product here is money and you don't have to carry any physical stock and there's no talking or selling or recruiting or anything like that, I said, you don't have to say anymore. And I got my credit card out and I made it a priority to do it. And I do remember throwing money at every product, spending hours on the Go Live TV and just thinking, oh my God, trying to understand the technology. And then as we got the Ninja Group more organized and more refined, I honestly don't know how we could improve upon the trading now. The whole daily trading of the 8 hours, there's an hour to suit everyone. We've got the trades, we've got the exclusive software. I mean, we've just got everything going on. We've got the chat, we've got the trade surgery. If you take a trade, that's in our Discord, and you want someone to give you some advice who's perhaps been at it a bit longer and say, can't work out what I did here. It's just wonderful, especially living alone, just me and the dog. I find it really great fun as well. I've made some great friends through it. It's really great. And we all help each other, as you say. So, I find...
Yeah, and as they, going back to my sort of general interest in macroeconomics, it's quite interesting. I think my internet's being a bit rubbish at the moment. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Can you? Yeah. It is amazing how these sort of high-flying global experts are still looking at the same charts that we're looking at to look at what's going on and what's going to happen. So I do actually think it's a really good life skill, apart from anything else. But it's just a great way to earn money. Because it's no fun, and I'm sure we know there are vast millions and millions of people around the world at the moment who are staring into the abyss.
Yeah.
They've lost their job, they risk losing their house, and I think in not so much in Europe and the UK, where there is some level of protection at the moment for a few months anyway. But sort of longer term, lots of people are facing a really grim future. And I sort of thank my lucky stars that I found all this before, the virus kicked in and wreaked its havoc. As I say, all of this was going to happen to some degree or another anyway. It just never made it into the mainstream media. It kind of kept on the business pages. Yeah, what can I say? I think for me it's been a totally positive experience, and I can't wait to really get going on it and see what I think about it in a year's time.
So do you think, looking at the different sessions, the live trading that we do, and I'm one of the daily live traders, one of those 8 hours a day, and there's the Q&A session on the Monday as well with Brian. Do you think that it, and I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but how easy will it be to take live trades on a live account? How easy?
Oh, yeah, I think, again, I think it comes down to that psychology thing, doesn't it? It's you just have to go for it, and because all the information is there, and you know and because you start on a demo account, there's no reason, you know, why you just can't start doing it and learning it and just sort of seamlessly, you know, go onto your it's like taking your armbands off or something when you go swimming.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And I think with the Ninjacator, which is our exclusive team software that isn't available throughout the rest of the company, it literally says green arrow up, red arrow down, because of FTC compliance. We're not allowed to say buy and sell. We're not allowed to give specific trade signals. The financial trade compliance in America, they demand that you make your own judgment, and it's very, very strict rules, and the company is very compliant. So otherwise, we used to have on it green buy, red sell, but we're not allowed by law to do that. So we have to say up and down, but that is where you're meant to get in and out or sell it, and it's as simple as that. You know, so you don't need a lot of pips a day to make your money. 3 or 5 or 10 pips a day in our 10 pips a day club can make you all the money you need in an hour and then shut the computer and go and live your life. That's what I find so powerful about that skill for life thing. It's going to, number one, replace my pension. The government took 40,000 off me as a WASPy woman because they put the pensions back in the UK 6 years. Otherwise I would be fully retired. And number two, I'm directly affected by COVID. As you know, Helen, my holiday apartment's closed down by the French government. So, you know, where would I be without it? You know, I don't have a lot of savings in the bank. It all went into the house and the car and setting the business up here. And I've got a daughter going off to college. So for me, I have to make it work. And I'm glad I've been in it 2 years. I just think, thank God I've, you know, decided I needed another string to my bow in case something happened. I need, because you know what, you know, multiple sources of income are what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, I've got, you know, a lot of commitments. You know, my eldest son is only 18, so he's, you know, all 3 children have got the college, university, you know, generally helping them get going in life. So there's all that expense to cover. And you know, just generally living and doing things that you want to do in your life, and doing that in a very uncertain economy. I say I'm luckier than most because I've sort of got my own business, and I can normally get work regardless of what's going on. But nonetheless, I mean, I know people in my network who are, you know, like me, been in business a long time, fabulous reputation, and they've just had no work yet this year. Everything's been cancelled, and you know, things are getting a bit scary. So yeah, Forex is, I mean, when I first came across it, to me it just seemed like this ginormous sweet shop that I can just kind of go in and get something. Maybe that's like too simplistic, but
no, I think it's I think it's exactly that. And often one can be
it's this
spoiled.
massive.
I think one can be spoiled for choice. Smorgasbord.
What's the figure of the size of the market?
$6.6 trillion a day, the most liquid market in the world.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to get a tiny crumb off of that table.
Yeah, exactly. Which is more than sufficient to replace our pensions, cover any unforeseen health needs going forward as we get older, and make sure that we can maintain a secure lifestyle, whether we're living abroad like we are, or back anywhere really. What would you say to people who say, because I do get a lot of inquiries, and they say, "Oh, I just haven't got the money to do it."
Well,
because we have to pay for the software and tools.
So I think the first month it's a little bit more, isn't it, than subsequent months?
It's another $50 in the first month. It's got to sign up.
Well, in the scheme of things, it's I mean, obviously, if you're utterly stony broke, it could be an issue. But I think for most people, they would have that kind of money. And if you can bring other people, you know, to other people in, then it doesn't cost you anything at all. But if you apply yourself, it's really a case of doing it. It's back to that control thing. It's under your control to actually go through all this training, listen into the calls, and start doing it. And then you can start making the money. So yes, there is that period up front. So I would think that it would exclude very, very few people.
We actually put together a whole document of resources, which all of us put together, and that was people from Australia, Canada, North America, and it was blogs from successful, famous people on how to go out and make money. So sell things on eBay, go wash cars, you know, whatever it is, to get together the money per month if you want to make this a priority, so that you can be financially free. Because once you've learned it, you've only got to do your hour a day and you are free. So it's only for a finite period of time. And I know when I joined 2 years ago, and there was a point, because in the winter I earn less money than in the summer, because was, you know, bed and breakfast, chambre d'hôte, whatever you want to call it. And I literally used to make it my priority payment. And I have a very, very small pension that comes in from the UK, but it's not enough to live off. It's not enough to pay all the bills. And I remember in the winter still doing my Forex. And because now I do build a team, as you know, but I don't have to go out and recruit. I simply share my journey, share what I'm doing. I do the live trading, and people come and ask me about it now. And I remember one evening looking for some food in the cupboard, and I literally had a bag of like 2-year-old tapioca, which I brought from the UK. And I thought, well, I'll have a bowl of that. I've told you the story, with jam in it. And it even had some cupboard moths in it. And I literally sifted them out. And that was my dinner, because my priority was to pay this monthly subscription. And I didn't have a member of the family. I didn't have a friend. I didn't have anyone that I could turn to and say, please, will you help me pay my subscription this month? I didn't have anyone. I made it a priority, and now it's paying off. And I can't talk. I can't talk money in percentages, because I'm not allowed to by the FTC. Not allowed to do that.
I mean, I lead as maybe a slightly different life, living in the sort of middle of the French countryside. And, you know, when I go back to London for business, I see people who have, you know, that kind of casual spending of money, you know, when you go to the station and you grab a coffee and a muffin and a paper and boom, you know, it's like 10 quid gone.
Yeah.
You go into a pub and it's, you know, 10 quid for a glass of wine. It's like, oh my God.
I know, it's quite phenomenal. And I've told you,
one of the major perks of living in France is that the wine is extremely cheap. And for 10 quid, you could, you could easily get 4 or 5 bottles of perfectly lovely drinkable wine. So it's always a bit of a shock going back to the UK.
Well, you know, I've had people
and seeing the prices.
Well, you know, I've had people talk to me about joining, and they've said, oh, I can't afford it. And I've said, well, it works out to $6 or $8 a day. And then I have literally gone on their timeline, and they've been taking the kids to the zoo, they're booking a holiday, and they've been out for their weekly meal in a restaurant. And I think, well, you just don't want to really change your life and make this a priority, because, you know, and I speak as someone where I have had wedges of money and lots of money in my life, and I've had times when I've had to work very hard building a business or working for myself, freelancing or whatever I've been doing. And you just have to decide you want to punch through, you want to break through, and you are going to do it. And we provide all that help now. None of us live traders get paid for the time we put in. And I, like all the others, help other people on the broader team, but not even in our own teams. We have that collaborative, we're all in it together attitude.
And
I've put a lot into it to make it as easy as possible.
I have taken full advantage of that, you know, with Brian's
I know.
question and answer thing on a Monday
I know,
night.
it's
He
fabulous.
helped me with my Mac issues when I first started, and yeah, say I've Sarah Jane's the one that I watched the most, because I've sort of plumped for the BYOB as a strategy.
Well, that's our main strategy.
As well, I've watched.
Kevin's
so
yeah, and Les.
Yeah. So yeah, I've taken. Actually, yours is the session that I don't tune into, because I feel it's a bit too advanced for me at the moment. But maybe this time next year.
Well, people say it's advanced, and I do want newcomers to stick with the Be Your Own Bank, BYOB, because that's our main team strategy. It's simply that I learnt my little strategy, and you only need one strategy to be successful, and I learnt mine 2 years ago. So why would I change horses midstream? Why would I change strategies when my muscle memory is tuned into the system I'm successful at? But all it is it's very duplicatable. It's using the Harmonic scanner, which we all use. And all I'm doing, instead of drawing lines of support and resistance, is clicking a tool on called a pitchfork, and it clicks it onto it, and it's trend lines at an angle. I can't see why people call that complicated.
Well, no,
but you know, it's just different visually.
Complicated to me.
Yeah, well, I don't want to attract people onto it instead of
gradually lifted. No,
because BYOB is our main strategy, you know, so that's all well and good, you know. So we've been on 45 minutes, and I thank you very much. What's a final word if people are following us, sitting on the fence, wondering whether they should take the plunge? What would you say to people who are worried about their jobs, their families, or COVID?
I would just say go for it. I mean, I just think that it's this incredible thing, which because these software tools are available to little tiny retail traders like us, and that, you know, we can buy them at you know, say there is some expense, but it's pretty low cost. And it's fair to say I am used to paying for software in my business life. I have to pay for media databases and stuff like that. So I am comfortable with paying for software tools. But the ability to be able to earn money in a short period of your day, when you know all the grind that a lot of people have to go through in order to earn not a tremendous amount of money sometimes, you know, it would be rude not to do it, frankly. I think it's an amazing thing, and it just fits in with so many people, whether if either you're fitting it around a full-time job, or you're fitting it around other freelance things, or, you know, family commitments, caring for an elderly relative or young children, or you know, whatever your life is, you know, you can definitely fit Forex into it, because it's kind of going on 24/7. So,
well, I do know the network marketing industry has had. I was watching quite a lot of Eric Worre, and for those of you who don't know him, he's like one of the big leaders, like Ray Higdon, in the whole of the industry. Fabulous man. And he said network marketing. So he's been in it 33 years, and he said network marketing is has enjoyed its best month ever in April, as you'd expect, people at home. And he said May will be, you know, just as good. And I know in our company, which again, there is only fewer than 10% out of 200,000 people bother to build the business side and build teams. But the whole company has had 100,000 people join in the last 60 days. And it's heading towards $1 billion company now, because people recognize the power of clicking a few buttons, grabbing their money, shutting the computer, and you're in control of it. That 6.6 trillion market ain't going nowhere. You know, it's there every day. We can nip in and get our money.
Yeah, I do personally know a lot of people who are around about my age that kind of desperately need a plan, frankly. You know, I mean, I'm lucky because you know, I own my own home and everything, but I've got a lot of friends, male and female, who don't. And you know, time's marching on, and say there's this hideous pensions crisis, which is, you know, you could talk for weeks about that. But people have got to take control of their own lives and their financial futures, because you know, no one else is going to do it for you. And a lot of people have either lost their job already or will lose their job, whether it's the effect of COVID, which has just had this sort of massive effect on what was going to happen anyway. It's just amplified it, made it much worse. Not to mention all the AI things, which will, you know, everyone says it will take millions and millions of jobs away anyway. You know, I would urge people to jump in and get cracking on it as soon as they can.
So I can see Linda's on as well. So thanks for joining, Linda. So any of you, if you're liking or commenting or sharing this video, get back to the person who shared this with you, or get back to Helen or Linda, and they can tell you all about the Forex and show you with us, or get back to me. You know, any of us can show you around, and you can have a 7-day free trial without any credit card. There's no catch, and just peek over our shoulder and see what we're doing, see if you like it. And even if you do join, you've got a 7-day let out clause where your money will be fully refunded if you decide it's not for you.
Excellent. Sounds good to me.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Helen, and thanks for joining us, everybody, and happy trading.
Thank you.
Bye. I'm going to stop recording.